Welcome into 49ers Access. My name is Sterling Bennett, and today we're going to discuss the San Francisco 49ers press conference that just ended a few minutes ago from head coach Kyle Shanahan because he revealed the future of two major players, wide receiver Jauan Jennings and right tackle Colton McKivitz. The team also named their eight team captains for the 2025 season, and Shanahan may have finally shared his biggest concern going into the 2025 season. So go ahead and like, share, and subscribe to the show, and let's dive into what Kyle Shanahan had to say at today's 49ers press conference leading into week one against the Seattle Seahawks this Sunday. And I think let's kick things off with a good note because Kyle Shanahan revealed the 49ers have officially listed and named quarterback Brock Purdy, running back Christian McCaffrey, fullback Kyle Juszczyk, a left tackle Trent Williams, tight end George Kittle, defensive end Nick Bosa, linebacker Fred Warner, and newcomer Deommodore Lenoir as their 8 team captains this year. Not too much has changed. A simple swap of Deebo Samuel exiting via trade to the Commanders, Lenoir being the new highly paid cornerback on the outside, your new and final 8th captain. Again, not too shocking. All those guys, every bit deserving. Maybe you could have had a conversation about Brandon Ayuk, but he hasn't played in a full year, not going to play for half this year. That seems pretty obvious of like, let's not do that. You're not going to give Jauan Jennings that contract or the captain status because he's not under contract. So, pretty straightforward there. All those guys deserve to be captains. All those guys are under contract past this season, which seems to be what you'd like to do out of the captain spot. And funny enough, 5 of their 8 captains are on offense? Pretty indicative of where this team is at when it comes to roster construction. I am part of the group that believes San Francisco will have to heavily rely on the offense to carry them this year, and having 5 of your 8 captains be on offense pretty much shows you that, the offense will play a large role in how far this team can go this year. Obviously, you have a lot of young players and whatnot trying to help guide you back to the playoffs, but for San Francisco, you're going to have Brock Purdy, Juice, Trent, Kittle, and Christian McCaffrey be a couple of players that put the team on their back, especially against the Seattle Seahawks this Sunday, but also throughout the entirety of the season, knowing that you may have a limited Jauan Jennings and aren't going to have maybe 2 of your top 3 receivers in week 1 against, again, the rival Seattle Seahawks. I do want to dive into, though, what Kyle Shanahan said today about Jauan Jennings. And there's been so much made about, will he sign a contract? Should he sign a contract? Will San Francisco want to give him a contract? And it does feel like that the Niners would really like to, in theory, sign Jauan to a new contract. However, money-wise, financially, that doesn't seem to be the case. They've been pretty adamant about timelines don't add up right now for us and Jauan. On the flip side, Jauan's like, I really want to get paid, whether by you or by somebody else. I have to maximize my potentially one chance of getting a new deal. Thus, that leads to questions of, did Jauan sign a new contract? Did things end in a resolution? Have you agreed to table things? And Kyle Shanahan addressed where things with Jauan Jennings lie, and also gave a hint as to another deal San Francisco may try to get done as soon as this season. Listen to Kyle Shanahan here.
No, I don't think there's a totally resolution. It's the business side. I think I said at the beginning of training camp how badly myself and everyone in this building wants Jauan back in the long term. We want Colton McKivitz back. Those are 2 guys that we really hope to keep here. But they're both going into their contract year, and nothing's ever final, but we'll see how it plays out. But there's a business side to both sides, but it's something that I think both sides would love to get worked out. Just don't know if we can.
So it sounds like San Francisco is not just trying to re-sign Jauan Jennings, or again, in theory, wants to re-sign Jauan Jennings. They also would like to re-sign right tackle Colton McKivitz. Now, I am under the interpretation that hitting the open market benefits Colton McKivitz more than Jauan Jennings because while you love Jauan, you have to find a run-heavy team for him. I love his skill set again, third downs, big body guy, big slot dude, go up and get it kind of player. But Jauan does fit a very certain team. Now, you can say, well, the NFL is running a more Shanahan-like style across the entire league. I would agree, thus more teams would fit Jauan Jennings than, let's say, 5-10 years ago. I'd agree there. But for Colton McKivitz, he's saying Jalen Moore just got paid big money. An average right tackle gets paid double-digit figures every year. Why wouldn't I want to be in that conversation? Aaron Banks got paid $72 million off a terrible season last year. And Colton McKivitz plays tackle. Now, again, Colton McKivitz isn't a world-beating tackle, but again, of that group, and Colton McKivitz himself has said, like Jauan, I want to stay in San Francisco. McKivitz added that while there haven't been any concrete talks, it has been made known to him that San Francisco would like to keep him, and he's again said, I want to stay here in San Francisco. So there is mutual interest, if you will, between Colton McKivitz and the San Francisco 49ers, and I think San Francisco is right to want to re-sign Colton McKivitz. I know that's not a popular opinion. I know fans dislike him. McKivitz obviously has some weaknesses in his game. The anchor isn't always great. We've seen Chris Jones have his way with him. You see stronger, longer arm edge rushers have the way with Colton McKivitz, but as a lighter guy, he fits the offense to a T. He's a good run blocker, an adequate pass blocker. And San Francisco also says, we don't want to run into a situation in which Trent goes down or retires after this year, and we don't have a right tackle going into the draft, albeit you can find right tackles much more or at a higher rate than, stud left tackles. You don't want to walk into the draft or free agency saying, hey, you got to get two tackles, both anchors of the offensive line. You don't want to go into it with that. I think San Francisco would be smart. Really, and this is going to be controversial as well, I would almost rather retain Colton McKivitz than Jauan Jennings. That sounds weird even leaving my mouth, but from an important standpoint to who's more replaceable, again, obviously you can find a Colton McKivitz or Jauan Jennings elsewhere in the future. However, with the way the roster is constructed and who San Francisco has signed after this year, re-signing Colton McKivitz may be a higher priority for San Francisco, but again, Colton does seem like a guy that would benefit from hitting the open market, seeing what he's worth, because some teams will pay a lot of money for a right tackle, and Colton certainly is closer to the top 10 than he is the bottom 10. So I do think that re-signing Colton McKivitz isn't a shocker to me, but it does certainly tell you where San Francisco's headspace is at and what their plans are, where they are looking towards the future. Colton could get $20 million per year next year, and that could price himself out of San Francisco's range. But with a lot of question marks after this year on the offensive line, do you let Jake Brendel go? Who's your left guard after this year? Does Trent survive an extra season? You never know. Maybe getting somewhat of a hometown discount via the way of a mid-season extension is a way San Francisco can kind of navigate the offseason a little earlier for themselves. And that's obviously some wishful thinking on my end, and I'm sure their behalf as well. But just putting in somebody's ear, hey, we want to have you back, does sometimes lend to a easier agreement coming down the road. So hoping that's the case for Colton. I do want Colton McKivitz back. Yes, you can improve upon him, but never a bad thing to have an above average right tackle in your room, a guy that overwhelmingly has improved every single year this season. I believe he said he wanted to be an All-Pro or a Pro Bowler this year. Obviously, it does feel like that San Francisco, would love that from him. But also, again, the future is a big thing where Colton may say, you know what, I want to be in San Francisco, but I want to be paid at the right price too. And maybe San Francisco says, hey, we can't meet you at $20 million per year. Fish and Chips says here in the YouTube chat, Sterling, McKivitz won't be around. Shanahan is a bargain bin offensive line recruiter. Well, funny enough to say that, McKivitz, I think, was a 5th-round pick in 2020. So they've already re-signed him once, albeit to a much smaller deal than he'll probably get during the offseason. But they've already re-signed him for a short stint the last couple of seasons, they clearly valued him a little more than McGlinchey, who was a first-round pick they had for 5 seasons after his 2018 draft status. I think they view, and I view McKivitz better than McGlinchey as a whole. It's weird saying that, but I do think Colton is better and has been better than McGlinchey. So maybe you're right. Maybe San Francisco says, you know what? We can't pay $20 million and we haven't drafted an offensive lineman since like 2021. So maybe you're right. Maybe it's a bargain bin. You know, we don't draft tackles in the first round anymore. We don't draft guards after round 3, it seems like, or after round 2 now. The Niners do bargain bin there. But I do wonder, after how last season went, seeing this terrible defensive line be put in place and really play terrible with Nick Sorensen at the helm. You bring in Robert Saleh, give him the keys to the draft, replenish your entire defensive line and your defense as a whole. I do wonder if maybe there's room for a roster reconstruction now on offense, mainly in the trenches next year. Obviously, we'll have to kind of wait and see if that actually happens and maybe pray Shanahan changes his tune. But a lot of that doesn't come down to Kyle and the Niners bargain bin hunting for offensive line. They're just really particular with their offensive linemen, and I could honestly say don't value it as much as other teams where, again, you may see, like this past year's draft, a lot of fans wanted this roster, this regime, this offense to draft Thomas Booker, I think it was his name, Thomas Booker, the guard that went to the Cowboys in the first round from Alabama. Okay, you want a guard. That makes sense to me. That guy did not fit the wide zone, inside zone Shanahan run scheme. And so having just a schematic difference than some college players do, that obviously is one checkbox that Booker did not fit with Shanahan. But 2, they like lighter offensive linemen that they really don't put too much in size and arm length into guys either. They just like to, kind of narrow their focus on 1 or 2 guys. And look, they got poached this year in front of themselves when they in the 3rd round against the Raiders. That was their fault, though. I think what you're getting at more so isn't San Francisco bargain bin hunting. I think it's that when San Francisco has a guy that fits their offensive scheme, like Charles Grant from William & Mary out of this past year's draft class, be aggressive in getting them on the roster. Don't wait and see. Don't hope they fall to you. Be aggressive in getting them. So San Francisco, if they can change at about the way they do drafts and things, because they're very patient. They're not one to trade up and down very often unless it's like a big trade up for Trey Lance or, 2017 when they went and traded back for Thomas and up for Reuben Foster. But for the offensive linemen, I think you are wanting them to be more aggressive when it comes to finding the guys they like in round 3 and 2 and 1 if their guys are there, not just them bargain bin hunting. They're just really particular in who they like. And I think sometimes that comes back to bite San Francisco, and they don't always play the draft board correctly. Sometimes they gamble and they risk and they lose. And that's when sometimes things come back to bite you. So you're hoping in the first 3 or 4 or 5 rounds next year they can get an offensive lineman and hopefully restock that room, because it does feel like that Colton McKivitz probably will price himself out of San Francisco. But good to know they want to bring him back for the next couple of years, whether it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Who knows? I think Colton will be 28, during the offseason. So maybe a 3 or 4 year deal gets it done. But again, the price will be big. Jalen Moore got paid, and so did Aaron Banks. So San Francisco has seen some of their mid-tier, below average tier offensive linemen get paid big money as they ascend. McKivitz could be the next one. But again, maybe getting ahead of things, maybe you can kind of help and kind of pad the loss of that. But we shall see. But good to hear San Francisco is at least eyeing and valuing bringing back some offensive linemen early. But then there's Jauan. Like Shanahan, I don't have the clip for you, unfortunately, but there was a very small portion of Shanahan's press conference where he indirectly took a shot at Jauan and his agent, and I don't think he was trying to, but it came across that way. And the quote was something along the lines of, it's business. Sometimes I wish people understood that the money the timing isn't always perfect. That to me right there of like, I wish people would understand that sometimes. That to me was an indirect, maybe unintentional shot at Jauan of like, like, we want to pay you, man, but like, you're picking the wrong time for this. And you have to understand that money comes into play. We want to bring you back. We love to have Jauan Jennings here for the long haul, but you're picking the wrong time. You're picking an offseason where we just cut almost the entire defense to get rid of some money and pay some bigger names that aren't you. So I do feel like Shanahan did take a shot at Jauan in, again, an indirect way and kind of an unintentional way, but you could hear there was some frustration, but even Shanahan kind of picked things back up and said, me and Jauan are good. The hugs were great. You didn't see him on, Sunday and Saturday too. Like Jauan's been in here. There is no, hurt feelings. We get it's business. I wish every coach and player could get paid. So there isn't bad blood there, but you can tell that Shanahan was kind of like, my hands are tied, man. I can't maneuver. I can't budge. I did that last offseason, and look where it got me. Look where it got us. The budging, the maneuvering, the convincing to spend money is over with. Like, we got Purdy and Warner and Kittle paid. That's all we could do. Everything else is duct tape and tied together barely. So I do think that, while they want to retain Jauan, there was some frustration that came out of like, you're picking the wrong time, man. And I think we know, whether you're a child, whether you're a parent, whether you're in school, out of school, life in general, like, you don't go to your boss and ask for a raise when everybody else got fired. Like, and I can tell you from experience, when I was at 95-7 the game, and I'm still there, they went through a round of layoffs. And it was rough. People lost their jobs. People weren't brought back. People were angry, bitter. And it was a frustrating time. The last thing I was going to do was go in there and say, hey, boss, how's it going? Now that you're not paying those guys, can I get paid more? That's kind of what this feels like if you're San Francisco. Like, dude, like, we just cut all these dudes, freed up all this money to redelegate some finances and some funds, and you want to get a raise when you already got paid last year. Like, that's the frustration of this. It's not anti-Jauan. It's not, we don't like Jauan. They have been very vocal about their pleasure with having Jauan on the roster, but this is simply a, man, we can't fit this in, and it's the wrong time for you to be asking for a raise, knowing that Malik Collins got fired, Leonard Floyd got fired, we didn't bring back Dre Greenlaw, we didn't bring back Hufanga. Like, you were asking the wrong time for higher money, which, again, I love Jauan. I just think San Francisco is like, we just can't do it now. We can't do it now. Maybe when we're looking at next year and we can redo Ayuk's deal. Like, I think San Francisco is completely open to the idea of re-signing Jauan Jennings next offseason. I don't know if the market for Jauan will be as high as it is for Colton McKivitz. Like, the reporting by Tim Kawakami was Jauan wants $20 plus million per year. That's probably what Colton McKivitz is going to get. San Francisco cannot fit both of those guys under the salary cap. Now, they're going to carry over some to help alleviate some pain when Bosa and Trent's and McCaffrey's and Purdy's and Ayuk's contracts skyrockets next year and the year after that. But they can't fit two more guys under $20 plus million deals per year. And so they're going to have to pick and choose. Do you want Jauan? Do you want McKivitz? Who would you want? Would you want Jauan? Would you want Colton McKivitz here long term? Most of you would probably say you want Jauan Jennings. And I don't really disagree with you in that respect, but I honestly may rather have Colton McKivitz here than Jauan Jennings. It's weird saying that. Both those guys are day 3 picks. They have blossomed into pretty good players here with San Francisco, but knowing the importance of having a right tackle when your left tackle may retire after this year and has injury history, like, this team doesn't even have a good backup tackle. Why lose one of your starting tackles? Like, that's a concern. Whereas San Francisco, for as unproven as they may be, they have eventually a healthy Brandon Ayuk, a healthy Demarcus Robinson, a healthy Ricky Pearsall. Those are 3 guys you can walk into 2026 with saying, hey, it's not that bad. Whereas the offensive line is a concern now. I do wonder if that is a big part of this. Let's go to the YouTube chat because we do have some comments here that I want to get to. Strawberry says, I really hate that MVS is on this roster. He better not get a single target at all this game. He does feel more like a take the top off of the defense, open some stuff underneath for us for Kittle and Pearsall and other guys. Purdy doesn't mind taking deep shots. MVS certainly feels more like a distraction or a useful tool to open things up for other players. But the MVS hate from Strawberry here in the YouTube chat. Let's see. I'm going to save some defensive comments. We'll get into that in a second. Let's see what we have here. Let's see. Fish and Chips says Purdy needs tall wide receivers because he throws a high ball. JJ is valuable just for that. Unlike Cowling, who I don't think can help a quarterback. Purdy does like to high point the ball. It certainly helps to have taller receivers to do that. I think having Jauan makes him more comfortable knowing that most cornerbacks and safeties can't go up like Jauan to do so. So yes, there is value in that for Jauan being a bigger body guy. That said, the Cowling comment is very true. I am so low on Cowling. I just don't know what the future is for him in San Francisco. Already hurt this year. I get it. Punt returner, kick returner, maybe a gadget guy. He should be more than that. And maybe if he didn't get hurt, I would change my tune. But I don't know if Cowling's on the roster next year. Just saying. Fish and Chips also says, in regards to my 95-7 the game layoff story, no, I did not get waived. I was brought back. So, I was not the one getting waived, but a lot of great people did, unfortunately, which is the worst part of it. And kind of tying things full circle back into Jauan, it sucks losing guys like Greenlaw, Ufunga, and Floyd and Collins, but sometimes it shouldn't be greedy at the wrong time. And Jauan, a little bit's being greedy here, saying like, pay me. And they're like, we can't. Even if we wanted to, we can't. Big Brick 84, what's going on, brother? He says, hopefully that whole charade is behind us and JJ can ball out and prove his worth this year. Honestly, the best case scenario for San Francisco is Jennings balls out, gets paid big money, get a third-round compensation pick, a fourth-round compensation pick in the draft. You pay Colton McKivitz, or the same thing happens to him too. Get 2 fourth-round compensation picks, or 2 thirds, or 2 fifths, whatever it is. But if you can only pay one, pay Colton during the year, extend him, then let Jauan leave, and hopefully he balls out for you and gets paid big money to get you a compensation pick back. Don't forget, he was a 7th-round draft pick. Now, it was a great pick. He's blossomed. The Niners can hopefully find a better wide receiver or better offensive lineman with the compensation pick they can get back with Jauan Jennings maybe departing in the offseason. 49ers Throwback says, hit like and subscribe. Yeah, please do that. And then Big Brick 84 says, depends on how they draft in 2026. Should be a good draft for the offensive line. Very true. Quarterbacks and offensive linemen next year. It is supposed to be a good class. Obviously depends on who comes out, who stays in, but a lot of good talent on the board potentially at those 2 spots. Texas and Ohio State in that game this past weekend had like the entire offensive lines on both teams. They're probably going to come out of this next draft. So again, a lot of talent coming out of this year's draft. But I do want to get to the rest of the show because we have to talk about the wide receivers. And we kind of already are with Jauan, but Shanahan, and I completely understand why, but to me it is becoming a growing concern, which it already kind of was, but the more week 1 comes, the more your anxiety raises, the more you're like, I'm a little worried as to what's going to happen on Sunday against the Seahawks, who's playing receiver 4 and 5. You worry, right? And right now, it seems like San Francisco does not know who their top 5 wide receivers will be in week 1. That's not exactly where you want to be. You don't mind if your 6th guy or your 5th guy is the unknown. Maybe it's a veteran, maybe a guy that's hurt. You don't like that. Isn't that big of a deal. But to walk into week 1, not knowing who your 5 wide receivers will be is really scary. San Francisco obviously knows that Ricky Pearsall will be out there as your receiver one. We've got confirmation that whether it be limited or a full participant, that Jauan Jennings will also play week one. You have your two guys. They also have Marquez Valdes-Scantling, who they signed to the 53-man roster yesterday, and you have Sky Moore. Is it Russell Gage? Who's the fifth guy? Is it Junior Bergen, Robbie Chosen-Anderson, Malik Turner? Jordan Watkins hasn't practiced at all, so he's not going to play on Sunday. San Francisco does not know who their wide receivers will be this Sunday. Now, again, this will be fixed if it was week 5 to 10, when you have Ayuk and Pearsall and Jennings and Robinson, and the fifth guy is up in the air. That's fine. That's an okay place to be. You have a strong top 4 guys. They only play 4 guys anyways, usually. But when the fifth guy is unknown, and so is your fourth and third guys, like, you can tell me names. I don't know how those guys line up. I would assume it'll be Pearsall one side, Jennings the other, and MVS in the slot. Maybe it's MVS outside and Jauan playing the big slot. I don't know. Because MVS only, like, he's a one-trick pony. He's a go out there and get the football deep kind of guy, open things up for us underneath. Maybe that's an option. But you have Sky Moore, who, I mean, I guess he's on the roster. Cool, we have Sky Moore. What does he do? He catches punts. That's great. As your fifth receiver, your sixth receiver, not the guy you're hoping to do gadget plays for you and whatnot. Moore will be nothing else than just Jacob Cowing 2.0, which really wasn't anything anyways. So there you are. Then it's Russell Gage, who, you like Russell Gage, a veteran guy, had a pretty good training camp. You know, come game time, we know a lot of guys have great camps and then suck during the regular season. They're banking on guys that are either over the hump, underperformed, or just have never performed to be their 3, 4, and 5 guy. And I think San Francisco, you know, I'm okay not signing Kendrick Bourne because of money and because of fit. I'm okay with San Francisco not bringing in Gabe Davis and Amari Cooper because of money and fit. I get that. But right now, like, it's going to be a chess match between Shanahan and McDonald. Like, yeah, you have McCaffrey and you have Kittle. Those guys certainly help you when it comes to alleviating the pressure from who plays wide receiver for you. But still, to walk into the week 1, and I get it. Look, they're not going to tell us who the 5 guys are. They're hiding it. It's going to be Pearsall, Jennings, MVS, Moore, and Gage. Those are the 5 guys. At least that seems like it'll be the 5 guys. But that's not a good 5 guys. Like, that's not good at all. You love Pearsall. Cool. You love Jennings if he's healthy, which he seems to be okay. But this is also a defense, or at least a head coach, that his defenses have overwhelmingly pretty much taken care of a Shanahan offense that's had better players on it playing better football. So it'll be a chess match. Who do they mix and match? Who do they bring in? Like, I wouldn't be shocked to a certain point where you don't even see MVS or Gage or other guys on the field. Like, McCaffrey could play the slot. Kittle play the slot. Robinson's in the backfield. Like, you're going to see a point where it's like, we have to dress 5 guys because we probably need to have 5 guys out there, but it's like, you know, we'd be okay those 5 guys not even playing that much outside of Pearsall and Jennings. Like, there's a real chance. And even then, if Jennings is limited, who's the 2 on some plays? It's a big question mark. It's one I don't think damns the game or condemns San Francisco to a loss by any means. They can get over this, but this is what it'll be for 3 weeks. Now, you have the Saints, and the Cardinals' defense will be improved, but I am more worried about the Cardinals' offense than defense right now. But you have to start off hot. And San Francisco can get over the hump. They can get over this. They have the weapons to do so. Purdy keeps playing great. And you have Pearsall, you have Kittle, you have McCaffrey. But part of me is like, do you just run the football the entire game? But then in that breath, it's like, you don't want to overwork CMC. So what happens? Like, and really the McDonald offense is somewhat of a mismatch for Shanahan's offense too, or defense is a mismatch for Shanahan's offense because they play, 2 high safeties and they can kind of disguise what they're going to do. They play press coverage and they don't play press coverage. They show press coverage. They don't play press coverage. They'll mix and match their blitzes. They'll disguise them extremely well. They'll play 3 safeties. Like, the McDonald defense really does kind of cover a lot of what San Francisco likes to do. Now, the one exploit, which we'll get into this tomorrow, is Shanahan's offense can hopefully exploit the fact that the Seahawks don't have any good coverage linebackers. But if you're playing 3 safeties, maybe, and they play quarters, there is room for the Seahawks to actually stun and surprise San Francisco in Seattle week 1, which, I'm expecting kind of a tough fought game where it's like, hey, the war of attrition, who's out there, who can score last wins. But right now it's leaning towards an overworking Christian McCaffrey game, which isn't ideal. And right now, if Jennings is limited, you're giving Purdy one legitimate wide receiving threat, not named George Kittle. So that's obviously not exactly how it'll be. Shanahan's a much smarter guy than I am, but to know that you may only have one reliable target depending on Jauan Jennings' health as a wide receiver, not great. You love Kittle. He's great too, but still, like, Kittle can be an X factor. 7 touchdowns in the last 7 games against Seattle. There's ways to circumnavigate the issue, but definitely is a concern. You're kind of begging Darnold to kind of turn into a ghost seer again or a ghost hunter again, because things can go awry for San Francisco pretty quick in this game, especially on offense, knowing that the receivers could be an issue. And MBS didn't make the roster until last week. Granted, he was in New Orleans last year with Kubiak and was in Seattle the entire offseason with Kubiak, but I think he just got the game plan in the playbook like last week, which isn't a lot of time. But we shall see. Moving along to the defense, because this is where I think San Francisco is going to struggle a lot this year. And I've already seen some comments here in the YouTube chat regarding San Francisco's defensive line. We saw, I believe it was Niners GOAT 16, if I can find it really quick. It's right here. Mykel and Alfred Collins get to show their run defense right away. Niner content creators said they would step in and contribute immediately. We shall see. Definitely have some concerns. Fish and Chip says Mykel and Alfred are going to struggle. It does seem like Shanahan was or is preparing us for a potential struggle by a young defensive line. Here's what he had to say here.
Would you say that the youth on defense presents your biggest challenge this season?
I think it's possible. I mean, there's a number of challenges. Depends how they go. I mean, we also have some vets stepping up, so they might not all have to go right away, but and we're going to play a lot of young guys as this year goes, and we're going to start out doing that. Getting a lot of those guys back has been nice, but those guys missing a lot of camp too has been a struggle. Starting with Mykel and looking at guys like Stout and things like that. Getting CJ West back here last week too. So hopefully we had a good week of practice, get them back in the thick of things, and they have a good first game.
There's no hiding the fact that San Francisco is relying on young defensive players to pick up a large chunk of the defense this year, to play pivotal roles, to hopefully fill big needs on this defense, whether it's Mykel, Alfred Collins, even younger guys like D. Winters and Tatum Bethune, Upton Stout, Marquis Siegel. A lot of young guys are going to be asked to do so much defensively, where you look at it, and while that's great, the potential is certainly there for those guys to have great careers and contribute on this defense in year one. However, you could certainly buy into that, but Mykel missed the entire preseason. Returned to practice, last weekend? That's not great. Where is he at health-wise? Where is he at getting his body right? Where is he at when it comes to playing defense once again? Where's his technique? He lost about a month of really important reps with the defense. Alfred Collins missed all of rookie minicamp. had an ankle injury throughout the almost entirety of OTAs, came back, and even then, now that he's been back, has had pad level issues. There's been run defense issues. There's no pass rush ability in him right now. No production there just yet. CJ West played the first preseason game, got hurt the very next week and hasn't played the final 2 preseason games. He's back. Similar to Mykel Williams, where is he at in his progression? He missed the last 2 weeks, very important 2 weeks of preseason. And like Mykel and West, Upton Stout didn't play the entire preseason. And you're going to have him go against Jackson Smith and Jigba week 1 in the slot. JSN isn't amazing, but he's certainly a top 5 slot wide receiver in football. I have concerns. Shanahan definitely just told you that, the defense is young, and all that's true. The defense is young. The hope is that the offense can save you the first 10 weeks or so. The defense then turns a corner late in the season with Saleh at the helm. Your pass rush picks up, your coverage picks up, and then boom, you're looking like the Niners again. And as that second half, of the season turns a corner, your defense picks up and you start to ascend into maybe a playoff team, maybe even higher if you're lucky. But right now, Shanahan's like, it's going to be like we like what they can do, but it's going to be a little rough to begin the season. And thankfully, you're playing some pretty poor teams, but the Seahawks have a new offensive coordinator. They want to run the football. They have been running the football pretty successfully in the preseason. Now it's preseason, so we'll see if it translates. But the Saints, Kellen Clemens, their quarterbacks suck. Who's their number 1 offensive target? Alvin Kamara. They're going to want to run the football. The Cardinals beat you last year because of James Conner, because you couldn't stop their rushing offense. Then you have the Jaguars, who are a much more passing attack. But then you have the Rams. Kyren Williams, week 5. Maybe things change then. You have DeMarcus Robinson back. Maybe you get healthier in that regards. But while I do think there is some kind of easier games to begin this season, you have 3 division games. 3 division games. You can't lose those games. You can't fall to 1-2 against the NFC West. And all 3 of those teams are wanting to run the football at a pretty high clip and will if you let them do so. So, man, it really does seem like that Shanahan, although optimistic, this team can grow into a great defense. You have Saleh, you have Fred, Lenoir. When Mustafa comes back, that'll be a big return for the defense in the secondary. You have Winters coming off what seems to be a big year 3 jump for him. And you have Bosa and Bryce Huff and a lot of young defensive players. The hope is that they can really take a big jump later on in the season. But to begin the year, although there is some games that allow you to make some mistakes and still win, he basically said that while I will not commit to the defense being the weakest part of the team, the offense will certainly have to pick up some more slack at the beginning of the season, which we already knew coming into the year. But to hear your head coach say that, mainly because 3 guys you are expecting to be starters on your defensive line at some point this year, hopefully together, missed large chunks of the preseason and training camp sessions, and your starting nickelback didn't play a single snap in the preseason. And I don't want to sound too negative, but I think San Francisco is going to be messing around with the matchups. San Francisco, Shanahan seemed to kind of hint that Jair Brown and Jason Pinnock are going to be the 2 starting safeties against Seattle this Sunday. And I wouldn't be shocked to see Darrell Luter Jr. or even Chase Lucas get some reps on the outside, knowing that San Francisco probably wants to have Lenoir shadow JSN whenever he's in the slot. Like, there is a lot of matchups that are going to be had to have. Robert Saleh will be having his chest hat on. He'll be out there with the clock against Kubiak, trying to figure out who can win this chess match, because this is going to be a game where you're not going to just throw out your guys and say, go get them, we'll figure it out. No. You're going to have to, and especially this year, which is why it's so important to have Kyle and Robert Saleh in the room together, you have to have better coaching. You have to have guys that can go toe-to-toe with the other play caller on the other side of the football. Shanahan can do it, and so can Saleh. You are almost hoping that the Niners do have that ability this year, and you're kind of really leaning on that because you're going to have your head coaches, your OC, your DC, pick up the slack where younger guys are going to make mistakes. You have to put those guys in the right spots to succeed. And I would not be shocked to see Lenoir, Lucas, and Green be your starters at some point, because I don't know if you want to give Upton Stout JSN week 1 without playing a single preseason game. He'll get some snaps for sure, but I'd much rather see Stout against Cooper Kupp than against JSN. I think that'll be some trickery. You're going to see a big rotation of secondary pieces on San Francisco's defense, because you're not going to go out there and rely on Siegel and Stout and Mykel and Collins and West to all start. You're not going to have 5 defensive starters out there that are rookies. And 3 of those guys didn't play all of, if not the entire preseason. So there's going to be a lot of mix and matching. There's going to be a lot of more veteran players starting and getting more reps than rookies, I think. It'll almost be a sprinkle of Stout, a sprinkle of Siegel, a sprinkle of Mykel and West and Collins, not a heavy-hitting dose of them. And honestly, because Alfred Collins has played more recently and probably is a better run defender right now than CJ West, albeit West is great in his own right, in my opinion, but I think Collins being a space eater will be a big X factor for San Francisco to hopefully win this game on Sunday. Let's get into the YouTube chat once again. We have a $2 super chat from Tommy the Fairy Huxley. He says, Sterling said, Sam Doo-Doo Darnold is Stevie Young 2.0. I don't think I ever said that. I don't think I would have ever said that. So, no. With that said, we have Sam Darnold this Sunday, which, who is Sam Darnold, really? He had a great year last year, fell apart in the playoffs late in the season, saw some ghosts again. I think he fits Seattle's offense extremely well. Obviously played in a very similar one in San Francisco. I think Clint was the OC when Darnold was here. So there is some continuity there, but really, like, the book is still out on Sam, in Tommy Huxley's case, Doo-Doo Darnold this Sunday. Thank you for the super chat, but don't be spreading lies like that, Tommy. You're going to get me in trouble here on the podcast and the stream. If you can find the clip, though, I will play it here on the show of me saying Sam Darnold is the next Steve Young, which I don't think I'll ever say. Never said that. Niner Goat 16 says, can't wait to see this elite edge setting from Mykel. Mykel can set the edge pretty well. It's just you're not going to get much pass rush from him. So you're probably going to see a lot more Samo and Bryce Huff on Sunday. Doesn't seem like we're going to get Yetur Gross-Matos or Jordan Elliott, which isn't that big of a loss, but worth noting. But Mykel may play some early downs, maybe saved for some fresh-legged snaps late in the game. So we shall see how they deploy their 2025 draft class against Seattle on Sunday. Strawberry says, Clint was never the OC. The only guy they'd be given OC before Clay was McDaniel. Wasn't Clint calling plays, though, last year? Or 2 years ago? Or was that Clay? He was an important offensive something coach in the room. Maybe I'm wrong, but Shanahan likes to not give official titles because then they have to do the whole interview search thing and then doesn't want to deal with it. So they go, you're the OC. And okay, cool. Yeah, Strawberry says it was Clay last year. So, okay. But I'm pretty sure Clint was at some point doing something in San Francisco. Yeah, pass game coordinator. That might as well be the de facto OC because Kyle's the same thing. So, but yes, to your point, Clint was never the actual offensive coordinator. He just was a high-ranking offensive coach when Darnold was here. Thank you so much, Strawberry, for the comments. Let's see what else we have here. Aaron says, yeah, buddy, it's football week, and that it is football tomorrow. football tomorrow, which may have a stream coming your way. Very special after the Cowboys and Eagles game tomorrow, but stay tuned for that. May have a little pig in a pickle on the show. We shall see how that goes tomorrow. And Big Brick 84 says Jordan Jefferson will play a huge role in stopping the run week 1. He might as well. Why not? You claimed him for a reason. Maybe see Evan Anderson out there on Sunday. I mean, honestly, if Gross Matos doesn't play, why not have Evan Anderson out there? So yeah, you might be right. They brought him in to be a run defender. Now's the time to deploy your run defenders at will this Sunday against the Seattle Seahawks. And Fish and Chips asks a very important question. Who will be this year's Devontae? I think he means Devondre Campbell. Ooh, who could be a disgruntled veteran that gets upset because he's not playing? Well, I'll tell you what, there's a reason why the team didn't sign Kendrick Bourne yet or Amari Cooper or Gabe Davis. They were heading that route. They were heading towards the receiver room being the actual Devondre Campbell issue this year. But right now, no one really comes to mind of like that guy will be a problem. There's younger guys behind him pushing for a job. Nobody really stands out. Running backs don't. Offensive line doesn't. The tight end room doesn't. The linebackers don't. Maybe Bryce Huff gets mad, but I don't think he has much leverage. He got benched last year in the Super Bowl, or it wasn't even active for it. So he's trying to kind of resurrect his career. So no one really stands out to be the very clear-cut Devondre Campbell. But good question. We will be watching out. We'll be on Devondre Campbell 2.0 watch this year. Let's see. Let's see. Strawberry says, everyone on the Niners beat thinks this team sucks and isn't going to win. Why bother? They should just forfeit the year and try again next year. And that's why you're wrong, Strawberry. Have some faith, brother. Why would you dare say? Don't tank, as you say here. Tank. We don't tank. We don't tank here on the show. We don't tank here in real life. Well, I'm sure one beat reporter thinks this team will go to the Super Bowl and win it, but we're not going to name names. And I'm sure a different one believes it'll be the worst team in the entire league and kind of is hoping and praying they will be. But again, we're not going to name names. That said, I think San Francisco will be adequate this year. They'll win some games they're not supposed to. They'll lose some games they're not supposed to. 10 wins, that's the mark. If you can win 10 wins, you're probably going to be in the wild card, and the Rams are up in the air. The Seahawks are up in the air. People saying 12-5 are nuts. People saying 6-11 are nuts. This team will be competitive. How competitive? Well, we'll find out, but they'll be competitive this year. Niners Goat 16 says, what happens if we miss the playoffs? Shanahan has been here for a while. What happens next? Nothing. He has the excuse of, well, we gutted the entire defense. What'd you want me to do? We had injuries. They'll give him one more year. If Shanahan struggles this year, the seat, like you turn the burner on, turn it on high, and they're like, hey, buddy, the grill's preheating on high. I'd like to turn it down, but if they're bad again this year, then the seat officially becomes hot. The expectations now become playoff or bust for you. So this is Shanahan's last year, or the precursor, if he's bad again or the team's bad again, to a hot seat in 2026. In regards to who Devondre Campbell 2.0 can be, we have a Bryce Huff point. We have Nick Zakelj. If Nick Zakelj becomes Devondre Campbell, my God, at least Devondre Campbell was somewhat kind of good for like a year in Green Bay. He had some claim to being upset, but no. God, no. Zakelj, no. He's a 6th-round pick. What has he ever done? He's been a backup his entire career. Get him out of here. Cut him. Cut him right now. I don't care. Niner Goat 16 says Brandon Ayuk could be Devondre Campbell. I don't think so. I think Ayuk has cooled his jets. He knows that he's kind of playing for his job. We'll see, though. We'll see. Aaron says, my Jake Moody anxiety is to the moon. I'm with Joe Shasky. What's up, Butcher Boy? I blame Shanahan and Lynch if he ends up costing us games early on. Oh, I don't know. Like this Sunday. I mean, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Moody sucks. I don't know why he's here. I think it's pretty idiotic that they're almost like banking on him not messing things up, in which, in fact, he will eventually mess things up. Now, I am 1000% okay staking my claim on Jake Moody not lasting the entire year as a kicker on the roster, but they did this to themselves. They have nobody else to blame. They drafted him. They kept him. He got hurt. They kept him again. They had a kind of a competition, but not, there's complications there, but, Jake is, whenever he gets out there, man, I think everybody, even the head coach, the GM, like, they're going to cut to John in the press box, just, oh man, Jake missed that kick. Oh man, Jake missed that kick. What do I do? Like, if there was some way to recreate John Lynch walking on the sideline and kicking Devondre Campbell off the field, I wish he would do that for Jake Moody. And Jake's a good guy. I like Jake Moody, the person. Player, not so much. But, it just feels like that you shouldn't be almost like, well, we'll see if he misses a kick, then we'll adjust. It's like, no, you should have confidence he'll make the kick and be shocked when he misses the kick. Like, you should not watch your kicker go out there, miss a kick, and be like, well, not surprised there. You should be surprised. If your kicker misses a kick, you should be annoyed and angry and like, what the hell? Why'd you miss that kick? You're the kicker. That's your job. Make the kicks. It's in the name. Like, at least quarterback doesn't have the word throwing in the title. Your job is kicker. You kick the ball. What did we hire you for? Did you flub your resume? Did you lie somewhere? And so the fact that they're okay tossing him out there, it's like, you just love to watch the world burn, don't you, Kyle and John? And I've said plenty of times, their wins and losses, their playoff livelihood could rely on the leg of Jake Moody, which is not ideal. Bobo says here, Shanahan doesn't want to be wrong about Jake Moody being the first pick, so that's why he's still here, which is shocking because they traded away Trey Lance. They've let go of other higher draft picks like Ty Davis Price and Trey Sermon and Danny Gray. They have been openly like, hey, that guy wasn't good. That's on us. With higher draft picks, but not Jake Moody. And look, kicking is hard, but you can find guys in the trash can outside of your local Walmart that can do it pretty well. So I don't know. This to me goes much more than just, we don't want to be wrong. Like, part of me actually believes they do believe in Jake Moody, which I think is foolish, but, not ideal. Not what I would do. I would have cut him after the third preseason game because the last thing you want to do, and you can see it now. San Francisco was up 26-23 with a minute and a half left in the fourth quarter. They hit a field goal for Jake Moody to give them the lead. Oh, he shanked the opening kickoff. Seattle gets the football at the 45-yard line. Bing, bop, bop, boom. San Francisco loses the football game because Jake Moody can't make kickoffs right. And it's like, come on, dude. Like, we saw this happening. We saw it coming. Which, when you mix in the receiver questions, the defensive line issues, which it seems like San Francisco is admitting they're going to have early in the season, and then you add in Jake Moody, it's like, oh my God. What are we doing? Why are you making your own life harder? I tell my wife and my friends, your job is to make your life as easy as it can be because life itself is hard. Any way you can work ahead, get ahead, find an easier, more efficient way to do things to make your life easier. Do it. Do it. San Francisco's like, screw that, man. The harder they come, the harder we're going to fall. And it's like, you don't have to make it hard at all. Just cut Jake Moody. Make it a hell of a lot easier. It'd be way easier than that. Niners first takes with a generous $5 and big old Cinco. Thank you so much, Aaron, for the $5. He says, cutting Moody on the plane if he costs the Niners the game. Don't even let him on. Leave him in Seattle. Leave him there. You cannot have Jake Moody cost you football games this year. We've been through this too many times. If he's good, great. I don't even want to give him the chance to be great because he's been so bad. Like, man, at what point is enough enough? Like, even Jennifer Lopez had enough. Been divorced like 5 times. San Francisco, cut Jake Moody when you have the chance, but they won't. And we're here on a Wednesday before week 1 of the NFL season. Dallas and Philadelphia tomorrow, San Francisco and the Seahawks on Sunday. Honestly, fish and chips, why not? Let Trent Williams kick. Kyle Juszczyk can't kick. You carry a fullback. He's your Swiss Army knife. Let him kick. Let him kick. Come on. Like, what's the harm in letting Kyle Juszczyk kick field goals for you? Chad Ochocinco did it. Why not? At some point in time, we are going to get to the NFL in 10 years, 15 years, where we just have no kickers. We have athletes that can play tight end, that can play cornerback, that can play safety, that can also kick. Why not tell Kyle Juszczyk, hey, Brant, go ahead and take Juice around there. Get him stretched out. Go ahead. That sounded weird, but go out there, get his legs stretched out, and go make some field goal kicks. Why not? Why not? Go make Braden Willis make kicks. Like, come on. This is not complicated. Like, I don't need my kicker to make 55-yard field goals. Just make them at 35 yards. That's okay. That's okay. You can hire a 45-year-old soccer player, and they'll make the kicks. But if Jake Moody, it's just like, if he blows this game, we'll see. But they have other concerns, though. Defensive line, the receiver room, a lot of worries going into this year. Shanahan openly talking about the receiver stuff and the defensive line today. Are you guys concerned about the defensive line? Are you guys concerned about the wide receiver room? Tell me down below in the comments. Put it in the YouTube chat now, because Shanahan pretty much admitted today that the defensive line may be the biggest weakness coming into the season, which there's a lot of players there that can do a lot of good, but a lot of unproven guys in that room. So tell me down below what you guys think of the defensive line. Tell me what you think of the wide receiver room. Do you like the idea of re-signing Jauan, Jennings, and Colton McKivitz? And if you had to choose, who would you pick? Colton McKivitz or Jauan Jennings? I think I'm leaning towards re-signing Colton McKivitz over Jauan Jennings. You can follow us on social media at 49ers_access is the X or Twitter. 49ers.access is the Instagram. And you can check out yesterday's stream where I tier ranked 50 NFL quarterbacks walking into the season. I think Niner fans will be equally pleased as they are upset where Brock Purdy ranked in yesterday's quarterback tier ranking, but 50 quarterbacks ranked by tier in order. So hopefully you can check that out on the YouTube channel and the podcast feeds as well. You can also use promo code 49ersaccess, 49ERS, ACCESS at SeatGeek.com to save yourself $20 off your first purchase. And stand by tomorrow because we are going to preview Niners, Seahawks, Week 1. Cannot wait for us to experience that this Sunday. Hopefully it's a win. We'll predict the game and break down every little nitty-gritty detail for you about why it could go San Francisco's way and why the Seahawks may be able to fend off the red and gold in week 1. Do not miss that. Hopefully you'll tune into it tomorrow as well. But until next time, my name is Sterling Bennett, and as always, stay faithful.